Welcome back to Waddle's VCR, and today we're going to discuss a film that I've already spoken about last year, one of the greatest movies of all time, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. This movie gets a ton of praise, and rightfully so. It's one of the most clever, innovative, imaginative films ever made. Its love and respect for cartoons, cartoon characters, more than show through its amazing effects and great writing, giving us a crossover that most of us could only dream of. But the one aspect of this movie I never hear anyone talking about, myself included, is that it's actually a great detective mystery. Yeah, you know, those gumshoe, film noir, Bogart films. This film is as good as The Third Man or The Maltese Falcon, meaning I guess the MacGuffin of the film is the animation itself. Works too well. Well, I'd like to go over this movie again, only not from a technical point of view, nor talk about its Easter eggs. I would like to discuss the mystery of this story and its many twists and turns. So the movie begins with this straightforward question. We are then introduced to film star Roger and his partner Herman. After he flubs a scene, we are introduced to this film's actual star, Eddie Valiant. Eddie has an appointment with Roger's boss, producer R.K. Maroon. Maroon claims that Roger flubs is due to the fact that he's distracted by his wife Jessica. So he hires Eddie to take pictures of her to, quote, wise him up with. Eddie's reluctant at first because he no longer works tune cases due to his bigotry. We find out as the story continues that his brother and detective partner was murdered by a tune in a case that was never solved. While visiting his girlfriend Dolores, who works at a bar, we also learn that the city's transportation system, the Red Car, was bought out by a new company, Cloverleaf Industries. Back on the case, Eddie goes to Jessica's work. There he meets Marvin Acme, the gag king and owner of Toontown, the place where all the Toons live. After dispensing some gags on Eddie, namely disappearing ink, he learns that Marvin Acme was there to have a quote-unquote affair with Jessica. RK shows him to Roger, who gets understandably upset and vows he and Jessica will be happy again. So this is where Eddie's story would have ended, but the next day, Marvin Acme is found dead. The pictures that Eddie took make the papers, and Roger is obviously the suspect. At the scene of the crime, we meet Judge Doom, who has jurisdiction over Toontown. He claims he wants to rein in on the insanity of Toontown by making them respect the law more, resorting to basically execution. Back at his office, Eddie runs into Herman, who defends his co-star Roger by informing him that the newspapers said that there was no will. According to Herman, Acme did have a will. He gave them an oath that he was going to leave Toontown to the Toons, but no will ever surfaced. That wasn't until Eddie better examines the photos he took and he sees it in his pocket. Eddie then runs into Roger, who's at his apartment hiding. He claims that he never killed Acme, that he went to Jessica's dressing room at the time of the murder to write her a love letter, one that he still has on him. Eddie believes Roger and is understandably upset when he realizes he was being used as a patsy. He hides Roger with Dolores and tells them both his hunch. He thinks RK was the one that killed Acme, so he could take ownership of Toontown. However, Jessica finds Eddie and tells him that he was set up to take those photos. RK Maroon told her that if she didn't pose for those pictures, that he'd fire Roger. Meanwhile, Dolores finds out RK isn't after Toontown. Cloverleaf Industries is. They put in the highest bidder, and if the will never shows up, they will be the sole owner of Toontown. Next, we find out that RK sold his studio to Cloverleaf Industries. So Eddie calls RK, claiming that he has the will, pretending that Roger's love letter is the will. He distracts him, gets him at gunpoint, and RK confesses. He did set up Jessica to take the photos, but it was to blackmail Acme, who was co-owner in his studio. RK was also looking for the will to save Toontown, but before he could say why, he's shot and killed. It looks as though Jessica was the one that pulled the trigger, but when Eddie goes to find her, she saves him from the real killer, Judge Doom. Jessica tells Eddie that Acme knew Doom was up to something, so he gave her the will for safekeeping, though it was only a blank piece of paper. Doom gets the drop on Eddie, Jessica, and Roger at gunpoint and reveals his plan. He is the sole owner of Cloverleaf Industries, and with Toontown property his, he's going to destroy it and build a freeway. This is basically the climax of the film, and two of the film's biggest mysteries are solved. First, Doom is a Toon. Wanting to retire, he stumbled upon the plans of the freeway, ended up taking them for his own, took the identity of a human, killed RK, killed Acme, and killed Teddy Valiant. Yes, he was Teddy Valiant's, Eddie's brother's killer. We're not sure if the murders were coincidence or connected, but Eddie did point out that he and his brother were investigating a bank robbery. This could have been the money he got to buy off the election, thus making him judge, so it could have actually been connected as well. Either way, the second reveal is the ink stain on Eddie. The disappearing ink was actually disappearing, reappearing ink. Eddie puts it together that is what Acme wrote his will on, hence Jessica's love letter. When Roger reads it, the words appear, the Toons are the rightful owner of Toontown. The film ends with Eddie defeating Doom and then walking with Roger and the rest of the Toons in Toontown. His bigotry of Toons is officially gone, plus solving the biggest mystery of his life, his brother's murder, which destroyed his life. Amazing. This film is amazing. The only true mystery we never actually find out in this is who was Doom. Remember, the Christopher Lloyd human was just a disguise. All we ever saw were those red eyes, the ones that haunted Eddie's nightmares. And after Doom is defeated, that's all that's left. Despite that, however, the film wraps up every single one of his other mysteries. I'm actually good not knowing who Doom was because leaving it still a mystery in even the smallest way is just what makes this film a wonderful whodunit. As I said at the start, the animation was the MacGuffin, so his backstory as a MacGuffin was in fact unimportant. This film is perfect in every possible way. I wouldn't change a thing. All these mystery twists and turns just adds to the repeat viewing. Every time I watch it, I find out something new about it, and that's just what makes it so good. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is probably one of the best movies ever made in every regards, and I will always consider it a classic.